Hello, my fellow Transformer fans. This is your host, Mega Ginger, the Ginger Transformer, and we're here today to talk about the origins of the Decepticons. Origins of the Decepticons in many ways ties to the origin of Megatron himself. Only in the Generation 1 80s cartoon was he not the person who had the idea in the first place of the Decepticons. From my podcast, I think it was 2 podcasts ago, we discussed the origins of the Transformers in the cartoon universe. They were built by the Quintessons, and the Decepticons were the descendants of the military hardware created by the Quints themselves. There have been many Decepticon leaders before Megatron. He's the most famous because he's the one who was there in the cartoon from its inception. So you never really hear of any of these other Decepticon leaders. You see one in action in the Five Faces of Darkness Part 4. You see a bunch of gold statues, which I assume during Starscream's coronation are Decepticon leaders. And there's an empty space there, which makes you think that's for Megatron's statue. You know, once the Decepticons crowned Starscream and Starscream got around to building the statue. That never happened, obviously. In my personal opinion, it's not the best creation story for the Decepticon sub-faction. In the Generation 1 comic book series, you don't really see much in-depth origins either, if I'm completely honest. You see a couple of flashbacks, but nothing concrete, nothing solid to the origins of the Decepticons. This is where I think Dreamwave started to set something up, as Megatron was a fighter in the pits. He set up an army, but it didn't get too much into it because it was cancelled. IDW, they got into it. They gave Megatron not only a Megatron, not just the origin of the Decepticons to Megatron, they gave him his own comic, Megatron Origins, an IDW comic. And it shows you the inception of the Decepticons from Megatron. It was his ideas here. Basically, you have eons and eons ago in the golden age of Cybertron. And Megatron, he's a miner, he's a poet. He is in a bar with Impactor having a drink. He lets Impactor, his friend, read some of this poetry. And a brawl breaks out, and Rung, one of the created IDW characters, which I quite liked, goes flying across the table, knocks the drinks down. Up goes Impactor, ready for a fight. Megatron is the one voicing caution, but these two Autobot enforcers, they basically push the wrong buttons. And Impactor, you don't see it, but it's implied that he gets leathered. You know, Megatron hasn't been, you can tell that he's not damaged. He then gets, and this is one of my favourite parts, he then gets a visit while he's in prison from Whirl, one of the wreckers. Well, before he was a wrecker, he was a corrupt cop. He goes in and beats the merry hell at Megatron for no other reason than he's in the cell. He deserves it. And so when the Senate eventually sends a senator to shut down the mine he's working in, Megatron's not happy, the miners aren't happy, and a nameless miner charges up and says, it's automation, they're doing this to take away our jobs, we'll not have a function because your job was predicated on your function. The Autobot enforcers get a bit overzealous, get back, kill him. Megatron then leads the charge of all these angry miners, of which we find later Rumble and Frenzy were in there. Megatron, he gets a hold of a guy, the guy's ready to shoot him, so Megatron crushes his skull, as you do. Then he goes, oh, what have I done? Oh, my hands are covered in energon. So, when another guy knocks him out with a gun across the head, puts him and all the miners on a prison transport, off you go. Rumble and Frenzy have the little gizmos they have in Generation 1 where they can pretty much just break their chains because their hands turn into big, pile drivers. They break your chains, but they need some muscle. So they talk to Megatron and say, big guy, does a solid. Megatron does them a solid. Once they break free and the guards come in, Megatron pretty much beats them to death. We then fast forward a bit. Into Megatron is now a pit fighter in the gladiatorial pits, and later on within a group combat, like one group versus another, he kills Clench, the leader of his group. But from then, he starts his rhetoric, he starts building his army, he starts talking to the audience, he's getting them riled up about the state of affairs, the state of the Senate, the councils of primes, how the Autobots are swines and people hate them, and there's no shortage of people that love this. I mean, there's even Autobots in there. From some of the pages in Megatron Origin, you do see the Dinobots going in because, let's face it, they weren't not going to be in the pit fights beating to pulp at people. You have Sunstreaker, his brother Sideswipe, they're both in there and they think they're going to make the cut for whatever they're going to make the cut for. But they walk in and Megatron has the senator, they shut the place down. And he's like, here he is, take him, he's yours, do with him what you want. And Megatron is now sporting a Decepticon, or at least a makeshift Decepticon badge. Autobot forces have indeed been listening in and under the control of Sentinel Prime, and they storm the place, jail him, take away to a secure location. And from there, Starscream gets out. Soundwave, he works for Senator Ratbat, and he's been the one who's been providing Megatron and his cronies, or at least his elite cadre, his little band, with upgraded weapons, upgraded stuff. Megatron's mace comes from Senator Ratbat to be used as he sees fit. So Starscream gets a plea deal and he goes before the Senate once everyone else is locked up. He ends up blowing away the Senate. Then you see Soundwave turn up and Starscream's like, I'm off, I'll see you later. Soundwave goes, finds Ratbat, kills him because wartime's coming, and puts his spark into a cassette. Poor Ratbat, he had a proper body for all of like 10 minutes in the comic. But anyway, in the prison, Megatron gets free as you do, and the Decepticons, they all break free. The first thing they do is burn the city that they're in to the ground. They attack the Autobots. Megatron not only kills, but pretty much brutalizes Sentinel Prime. And the Autobots find the body and go, this city's lost. We're off ski. We need to regroup and replan under the orders of Prowl. And later on you see Soundwave talking to Megatron. Megatron's just sitting and he's like, you have a city, you have an army, where to next? And Megatron's like, where to indeed? It panels out. So he's actually sitting in a throne made of Sentinel Prime's armour. Yeah, I love that origin story. Well, I'm not gonna lie, there's not a lot more to it. There's 3 more comics set before the main war. Autocracy, as I spoke about, was one of them. Monstrosity is another, and it shows Megatron accidentally creating Optimus Prime by betraying him, throwing him down a shaft. He is then thrown away into space, this time by Scorponok off of a astral train to the death world of Junkions. There, he discovers what it means to use his hate, to use his rage, and not just blindly kill. He becomes more calculating, calmer, an icy demeanour. And so the first thing he does when he turns back up is, blows Scorponok's knees off, takes back command, gets Decepticon up and running. And this is the kind of Megatron he will be from then, way back then, all the way till he becomes an Autobot. And even then, he's still pretty much a hard ass, but he's tempered down by the Autobot symbol as to now where, In the ideal universe, the Decepticons still go on under the command of Galvatron. Galvatron is not Megatron here, by the way. 2 entirely different people. Galvatron's from the era of Nova Prime, lost for eons, and him and his crew. And they eventually show up one day and start saying, we're going to take over. He doesn't. Yeah, that's pretty much the origin of the Decepticons. Usually it's an abused Megatron in some form or another, taking up arms to fight for freedom, and that gets lost. Next episode of the Transformers, next time on Transformers, I say it like that, we'll be talking about those lovable characters met on the planet of the Junkions, and their leader Redgar. But we'll get to hear about that next time. So until then, ladies and gents, all hail Megatron, keep on trucking, and I'll see you next time.